Good afternoon. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to episode 23 of Goodbye Bullshit, Hello Happiness. And today, the topic I picked was why loving and accepting yourself is key to pretty much everything: your healing, your relationships, and even your work life and healing our planet, healing the world around us. So, one of the main reasons when I started Goodbye Bullshit, Hello Happiness, I talked about releasing the bullshit, letting go of the bullshit in order to find your happiness. And love is a big factor in that. So every day we wake up and we have so many different personalities, avatars, and depending on each moment, who we're interacting with, what we're doing, we put on different costumes, different avatars, different personalities. So there are different avatars or personality when you're dealing with your kids, when you're at work, when with your friends, when with your siblings, when you're with your cousins, other family members, with mom, with dad. So for each one, you're carrying different avatars and personas. Now, part of the reason for these personalities and avatars that we've created is sort of to hide behind them, or that's what we want to present to the people we're dealing with at that moment, in order for them not to see the real us, to just focus on what we're presenting them. And usually that's out of fear, because we feel there's so much junk, let's call it, that we're hiding inside that we don't want people to find out. Because what if they find out about this? What if they see this inside of me? What if they know about my jealousy or my hate or whatever, my guilt, my shame? All those things that you're hiding inside, you hide them behind these avatars so people don't see it, because there's a fear of not being loved, being rejected, and if you're rejected and you're not loved, then you're going to end up being alone, which is a big fear of most people, ending up alone. So there is a lot of effort and energy that goes into maintaining each of those avatars or personalities. Because not only you're trying to hide parts of yourself, but you keep having to worry about what's being projected. So as part of the healing process, we try to release as many layers as possible, as many avatars and personalities. And in order to do that is releasing those fears and anxieties that what if they see those parts of me that I'm trying to hide. And in order to release those things, you have to start accepting yourself fully and not running away from those parts of yourself that you're either not seeing yourself, or you're trying to hide from, or you're trying to hide it from others to see it. So again, you've heard me talk about going inside and seeing yourself. Part of that going inside is that awareness and acceptance and acknowledgement of those parts, of those avatars, and the parts that you're hiding. I do part of the work I do, I call it shadow work. I never liked that word. But what that says is I am willing to go and take you along to those dark spaces where you're hiding things, where you're hiding yourselves, parts of yourself that you're not even aware of, or you're not seeing, or if you are seeing, you're still trying to hide it from others. To go there, love those parts that are hiding, and they're either scared, they're ashamed, they feel guilty, whatever reason that they're hiding. Accepting it, acknowledging it, choosing it. And once you accept it, acknowledge it, and choose it, then that's where loving it also happens. That's when you open up to loving yourself. Because nobody can point to those soft spots anymore. You're not afraid of anybody finding out, because if they find out, you'd be proud to stand up and say, yeah, I know about this. I love this part about me. I have it. I know it. I accept it. I acknowledge it. It's a part of who I am right now. And not necessarily does it mean that you're always going to have those parts, because at some point, if they stay, they might be quiet and not trigger you so much, or it just heals and releases by itself through time, through you accepting it and acknowledging it and loving it. So it's not present and not being triggered. But always, that's where majority of the healing work goes. Whether you do it with yourself, whether you're helping others, or whether you're seeking somebody that's going to help you there, is going into those spaces, whether you want to call it shadows, dark places that you're hiding, accepting it, acknowledging it fully, and then choosing it and loving it as part of who you are. Now, another part of it is that as you're starting to accept and acknowledge those parts, there's still a lot of vulnerability that happens, because basically imagine you're just taking all your cloaks off, all your clothes off, and you're standing there butt naked in front of everybody, and you're saying, I'm not hiding anymore. This is who I am. So there's a vulnerability and a fear around that. And also part of the avatars as we have them, we've created walls, and also some people call boundaries. But walls and boundaries, to me, slightly different, but same thing, is a protection mechanism to protect ourselves so that we don't feel so vulnerable. We have a place to go hide again. And that works for a time. And it's okay to, if you're going to keep something, I would say keep the boundaries and not the walls, because the walls tend to be much more permanent and much more fear-based, and it allows a bigger hiding space than boundaries. And just to go over the differences between the walls and the boundaries. So the walls are mainly, when you have all the avatars running, you have the walls as a protection mechanism, again, for you to hide and people not to see it. Boundaries are more that I know if I'm going to be communicating with this person, they're going to be triggering me. And in order for me to feel safe and not get triggered, I'm placing my boundary so that they know that not to cross this, and I know not to go into their energy. So boundaries are perfect for that, so that you know where your line is, that you don't want to go into somebody else's energy, and that you don't want them coming into yours. So it's a little bit, much, not a little bit, much lighter than a wall. But even boundaries, they're good. At some point, even boundaries, it'd be good to take off. Now, why am I talking about the boundaries and the wall? So when it comes to relationships, especially family members, not so much friends, we don't have too many big walls and boundaries with friends, but more in partnership, marriage, or family relationships. That's where majority of those walls and boundaries are used. And again, it's a safety mechanism for you. But also what happens is that you're still putting a lot of energy into protection, protecting yourself, and also hiding. In relationships, there's always this exchange that when people, out of need for safety, out of fear for comfort, need for comfort, we get into these situations where we want our partners, family members to sort of carry our shit for us, say, make it their responsibility to make us feel better, make us feel safe, make us feel loved. And when sort of the other person is not meeting that expectation of keeping you safe and loved and protected, then you start reacting that, how dare you? You know, I asked you to do this. I wanted you to do this, and it's your responsibility as my partner, as my husband, as my wife, whatever, to give me that I desire, give me that love that I want, give me that protection that I need. However, nobody can beat all of that for us, because even for you, if you're wanting that from someone else, then are you willing to be all that for the other person? It's just physically not possible to be the source of love and safety and protection for someone else. And that's why hiding behind those walls, you keep pushing to get that from the other person. Now, if you go from a place of loving yourself, accepting yourself, acknowledging yourself, and choosing yourself, then you have filled up your needs and desires for safety, for love, for protection, for whatever it is that you're looking for. And you're not grabbing at the other person to be your source for those things. And I get asked a lot, so what's the purpose of a relationship? Why are we in relationship if they're not there to protect us, if they're not there to provide for us, if they're not there? So the way I would answer that is that spend some time with yourself to identify what you truly want out of a relationship. And if it's just a desire for someone to love you, for someone to keep you safe, for someone to provide for you, then it's fine. But also know that that is coming from a deeper wound inside. And if that wound is not healed and released, whatever you're receiving from the universe is going to keep triggering that. So you're always going to see mirrors for yourself to see that, you know, you're not loving yourself and you're not feeling safe. So that will always carry, and one person cannot fulfill all of that. However, if you start to, again, let go of your avatars, let go of your personalities as much as you can, go sit in those spots that you're hiding and fully loving them, accepting them, acknowledging them, and choosing them, and letting go of the need to have all these walls and boundaries, and you be your own source for love, for your safety, knowing that you're safe, trusting in the universe, then your relationships become much lighter, where you're basically not taking shit from anybody else because you're like, you know, I love you doesn't mean that I'm going to carry your stuff. I love you doesn't mean that I'm going to sacrifice myself. I love you means that, first of all, I love you. Love is a state of being, it's not a emotion in that case. That in that state of love, I'm here with you. I'm walking this path with you. And I'm present for you as you're going through your stuff, as you're healing, as you're clearing, as you're releasing. And I love you doesn't mean that you're responsible for my shit and you have to carry it. And vice versa, I'm not going to be carrying your stuff. All that means is that I'm here, I'm present, I see you, I acknowledge you, and I accept you because I love and acknowledge and accept myself. And the more you clear out your own avatars and personas, that mirror that you have, because now you're accepting and acknowledging yourself, because you are loving yourself, and because you are staying present in a state of love and loving, it's a cleaner, clearer mirror where they get to see themselves more clearly. They might not like what they see, and that's on them to go heal and release what they need to release. But if they have a clear mirror as well, then that partnership becomes much more cleaner and easier because you're both reflecting each other's magnificence, each other's beauty, each other's love back at each other. So that's why that is another key in the relationships, is that you love yourself, accept and acknowledge yourself first, and then you can get to be that and stay present for others without expecting things from them. And again, not to say you're not going to expect things in your relationship, but then when you're coming from an place of acceptance and acknowledgement, if they're not, if your expectation is not met, then if you're getting triggered, that tells you, hey, this is my stuff. Let me go figure out why I'm being triggered. The other person has every right to react the way they are. They have every right not to give me what I want. It doesn't mean that they don't love me. It's just that right now I have this need and desire to receive this. Let me go, why? Let me see why that's there. And the more, and going deep is just that, going inside and asking those questions. Why am I being triggered? Why am I feeling this way? Why do I have this need and desire? And it guides you to those shadows, let's call it, or places that you're hiding, places you don't want others to see, or that you're feeling vulnerable. And the more of those you find, the more of them you accept and acknowledge and release, um, easier to love yourself and easier to love others. So the other aspect I said is also important is work life. And the work life comes with the fact that if you're loving and kind to yourself, then even in your working life, in all your relationships, how you deal with others, you, first of all, you've cleaned your mirror and you're reflecting that love and acceptance back at them so that they get to see themselves more clearly. But also, loving and accepting yourself means also choosing yourself. So, in choosing yourself, you're not going to choose the things that doesn't feel good to you anymore. That's not meant for you anymore. That's not part of who you are in that present moment. And so you begin to see changes in your work life as well. Now, I also said that loving and accepting and acknowledging yourself is key to healing our world. And that goes back to all that we talked about, especially the avatars, the personas, the walls, the boundaries, because all of that was created out of fear of rejection, fear of being alone, fear of not having, fear of not being loved. And all those fears has caused all those boundaries that we have put out there generation after generation that has created the separation. The intention of a wall and a boundary is separation because in order to feel safe, you've created that separation. But that separation also causes a lot of the hurt and the anger and frustration and the fear out there. So the more you work on releasing those walls, releasing those boundaries, you are releasing your fears and the separation between you and the other and creating a more harmonious life and a oneness between you and everything around you. And in that oneness and in that being with the other, everything comes together. So that love and acceptance becomes part of your life. And the biggest fear in that, again, people fear of losing themselves. If I let go of all these walls, if I let go of all these boundaries, who am I? If I let go of all these avatars, who am I? What am I going to be? And it's not a, it's simple, but not a simple answer to get there. You are who you are. It's just in each moment, we are evolving, we are changing, and as you are changing, as you are progressing, the more, again, loving and accepting of yourself through those changes is you can be who you want to be without any of it. And that's what it is to be in a state of love. And even those personas and avatars, if you, some of them may stay. For example, I always talk about my mommy persona. I don't know if she'll ever go away. However, she's gotten more in line, much more in alignment with that state of love that she also does not get triggered because to keep hawk watch over her son and make sure he's protected as well, because then there's an understanding again that if I'm loving and accepting and acknowledging myself, if I'm choosing myself, and I am trusting this life and universe to bring me what I need and what I desire, and if I'm being a clear mirror for the other person, then I'm extending all those same rights to the other person, and that person is also safe and the universe is taking care of them. And the other person is also responsible for their life and their choices. As a mom, I cannot take my son's choices away. I cannot take anybody's choice away. Each of us have to have the right to choose. And what I'm teaching him is that, again, once you are in a place of loving and accepting yourself, and when you're choosing from that place of love, when you're choosing from that place of acceptance, acknowledgement, and choosing from your heart, from a place of trust, then those choices are also the right choices, because they're going to take you to where you need to be and who you need to become, who you came to be in this lifetime. I know I went all over the place. It was a big topic. I didn't think it was going to be that big in my mind's eye when I started wanting to talk about this, but hopefully I can talk about it a little bit more in upcoming shows. And as always, if you have any comments, questions, please go ahead, text me, comment on the videos, and let me know. I'm happy to expand on any of the topics. And I hope you all take the time. We just started a new year. We are in winter. The best time it's the right time actually to sort of go inside and start to fully see all those parts that you've created, all your avatars and personas, to see the walls and the boundaries you've created and why they're there. And see that you have a choice in which ones you want to keep and which ones you want to let go. There is a choosing in that. And in that choosing, there is an acceptance and acknowledging of all those parts, and choosing you, loving yourself fully. And from that place, in your relationships, being a cleaner, clearer mirror for the other person to see themselves, there's to be able to get to a place that they see their own beauty and magnificence. And knowing that I love you doesn't mean I'm going to carry your shit. I love you doesn't mean I'm responsible for everything that touches you. And I love you means I'm here, I'm present, and I'm responsible for my stuff. You're responsible for your stuff. I love you means that I'm gonna do my best to clean and clear my mirror and be the best mirror I can be for you, so that you can find your way and see yourself clearly. And the more of these walls and boundaries you let go, you create less separation between you and the others. And there comes a oneness, which that oneness is the state of love, state of being in love with yourself, the world around you, the nature around you, all that comes and goes, all that flows in and out of your life, knowing everything is a gift of love for you to be able to see yourself clearly, to let go of what you don't want, choosing yourself, choosing to let go, choosing what feels best, and trusting in your knowing and the universe and knowing yourself. I hope that you enjoyed this episode of Goodbye Bullshit, Hello Happiness. I am still working around different mics to see. I know I've gotten some comments about, you know, the sound quality of some of the videos. So I'm going back and forth between the mic on the headset and two separate mics and see which one actually sounds better. We'll figure it out, whatever is best. And thank you as always for watching. If you're watching the videos live or at a later time, thank you for listening to the podcast. Thank you for commenting, sharing, and subscribing and following. Sending you guys much love. Happy New Year. Happy 2022. Wishing you all the best. Sending you love and gratitude for everything. Thank you. Have a good one. Bye, everyone.